There's one thing that's curious about when you have a mentor and you have somebody that you look up to, and then is like working with you with your work. Is I remember I had been asked to show my photographs at the same gallery that Larry had showed in, which was really something that was a real honor. And I also, but I remember it was important at that point in time, to untangle where we both were, because we actually were both influencing each other, and it was interesting to see how with my work, directing me, he was the one that first noticed the pictures of my houses and said that there was something in there that was really worth pursuing. And as I look back through my work, there's a mid-career survey that I just published, and it's published in chronological order, and it's fascinating to look in that. For me, I know all the stories. That's why I look at it, I'm like, oh, I remember that, and then remember that, and then. But I remember mostly Larry showing me that my work of places were actually about home and family, and not really about an architecture or landscape. It was about relationship, and that was something really important. And so I think that after that, I sort of just started. I found my way, and my way within that, and I just went all in. And I was, I just worked for a couple of years, and made photographs that were very much my own. And then that thing about us being, not wanting to overlap the work was never even an issue, because we all, of course, everyone is their own individual, and so it was a good experience. Larry used to always say, when you make art, art is the act of making many small decisions, and every single one of those decisions counts. And then just along the lines of color, black and white, big format, small format, big print, little print, framed or not framed, and all these, just every detail. And he used to always remind us that it's we're making decisions along the way that matter, and they affect the course of everything that leads to the work of art on the wall. And that was just something that that's so true. I feel like I have been on a path that's I very carefully thought about, and and I've also know when to go with the flow, and so I feel really comfortable about where things have been. And I will say one thing that I do know would have helped me in my work longer, and this is a very difficult thing to do, is to not care what people think. And because when you're making art, it's so complicated, and you're making art for yourself. But when you're a young artist and a student, you can't help but think about what do other people think, or maybe I can get into that gallery, or oh, look, that person's in this gallery, I want to be there, or this person's publishing this book, or oh God, I wish I had a book, all this kind of stuff. And so as a young artist, you have to do that a little bit. But the sooner you can release yourself from that mode, it's freeing. And then to just trust your instinct and trust your work, and just know that what you're doing is what you're supposed to do, and you just go forward. And if I could have done that, earlier, that would have been great. But I learned that one kind of not too long after I was supposed to. So yeah.